Welcome to a midsummer edition of the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside hot as blazes, Louisville, Kentucky, and in Maryland, where I'm guessing it's probably John Webster weather there in the 90s or more. John Webster, how you doing, my man? You're probably happier than a pig in slop.
Don't forget in Salisbury.
In Salisbury, that's right. That's right.
Hey, Gary, I'm doing real good, man. We got great weather here today. Today is 89 right now. Tomorrow will be 96. Thursday will be 99. And Friday, the most beautiful day of the week, it will be 102. Man, you talking about happy? Happy, slappy happy. I love it. I went out and walked this morning. I had my normal sweatpants and a hoodie on. I love it, man. It's just
Something is really wrong with you, as Bill Murray
man.
said in Stripes.
Now I say now this is the strange part. I like being out in the hot, but I can't be in a hot house. Gotta have the air going.
Yeah, I
But
hear that.
but but Kim and I have to find a healthy compromise because she only wants the air on so high. A healthy compromise is what makes her happy.
Yeah, with healthy compromise meaning you turn it to whatever temperature she wants it, and you will be happy for it.
Hey, I'll enjoy whatever temperature she wants.
Okay,
Hey,
okay.
man, speaking of enjoyment, man, today, today at 6 o'clock p.m. is the start of NBA free agency. I think it's going to be a slobber knocker. I think there's going to be some interesting things that are going to happen. You've already had Porzingis sign back with Golden State for 2 years.
Hmm.
There's talk of this guy. I think his name is LeBron James. That he's not. He announced that he's not going back to the Lakers. So now it's open season to figure out where he's going. Kawhi Leonard, as we speak, the Clippers are talking to the Raptors, and maybe they're going to work a trade out to have Kawhi Leonard go back to the Toronto Raptors. Who knows?
Trying to get that
As
band back together, huh?
Yeah, and there'll be more. Ja Morant got traded last night to the Portland Trail Blazers. They just signed their center, Robert Williams.
Hmm.
So I think it's going to be interesting, Gary. You have a team here in Washington. They re-signed Trey Young last week to an extension, and you still have Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is also being talked about going to the Golden State Warriors. I don't know how that works because you got to make the numbers work, and as they say today, the math ain't mathing. So, with all that being said, Draymond Green declined his option, but he's doing that to save money and get somebody else there, maybe LeBron James. But
Yeah.
with all that being said, Gary, give me your take on what's going on here. What do you think?
Well, let's see. Um, with LeBron, of course, everybody's going to be keeping their eye on LeBron and where he lands. That's probably the only one that matters right now because wherever he goes, they instantly become a contender. Even Golden State, which I guess what was a playoff team, but they were a play-in team, and I think that probably moves them to somewhere in the middle in the Western Conference. Um, AD is going to be interesting to see where he lands if he doesn't stay in Washington, because I think any team that picks him up has got to make him understand you're probably not going to play a whole, like a big boatload of minutes. At this point in his career, and for all the injuries that he's had, I look more at the fact that this will probably be his 15th season in the NBA. Um, officially. So do you want to lay out a whole bunch of money for for a 15-year veteran with a history of injuries, um, who may or may not be available for half your games if something happens? You try to minimize the risk maybe by limiting his minutes, maybe playing him, more in situations, more matchups. Um, I still believe he's a phenomenal talent when healthy, and that's the caveat for any team that really wants to pick him up. But again, LeBron James is the prize. That he declined to go back to the Lakers is significant because it opens up a lot of possibilities. I know Golden State has emerged as a destination, but John, I feel like if you're a contender in either conference, you're thinking about it, such as, well, maybe going back to Miami. What do you think about that?
I don't think I don't think he'll go back to Miami. I think LeBron is
And that's
a
and that's an example for
yeah,
uh,
yeah, and
Oscar.
I think it's a fair example. I think he had a very good run there in Miami, but I don't think the Miami Heat, namely Pat Riley, does business the same way LeBron does, or LeBron doesn't do business the same way Pat Riley does.
Mm,
Let me be very clear. That is not to say either one of them are wrong. It's just different ways to do things.
right.
And I think that. But I got a crazy one for you, Gary. He wants to play with Anthony Davis, right? That's what we hear, correct?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Okay. All right. The way it's looking right now, to make that work at Golden State would be very, very hard mathematically because you sign Porzingis, and there's just not a lot of money. And then they have that apron, and I can't explain the apron, but I just know it's basically like a hard cap. Is the best way I can say it.
Hmm.
Okay. And the other thing that you have to figure out is, will LeBron James play for like $15 million? Take an exception, whatever that is, the mid-level exemption, exception, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, mid-level exception. I think that's what it is.
Okay, it doesn't work at Golden State. What do you think? And he wants to play with Anthony Davis, right? What do
Hmm.
you think? What do you think about him ending up in DC? Did you know I was going to say that?
Hmm. I mean, I'm thinking about the chances of that at first glance, as the chances of that happening are like the reflecting pool suddenly turning clear before the 4th of July. Um, I'm not saying it's out of the question, because again, in NBA free agency, anything is possible. Anything is possible. One other possibility that I could conceivably see, is him trying to run it back. What, I don't know, third or fourth time with Golden State. I'm sorry, not Golden State, with Cleveland. With Cleveland. Yeah, it's like I got Golden State on the brain with Cleveland.
I think
As far
Cleveland has
as
the I think Cleveland has the most talent of those teams that we mentioned,
Mhm.
which is Golden State, the Lakers, and the the Bullets, the Wizards.
Yeah,
I mean, when you look at Cleveland, you got Mitchell, you still got Harden there, you got Mobley, you got Jared Allen.
yeah,
You got a
and he's
good.
probably going to be on the move for them to really pick up a key free agent, I believe.
Well, I think what LeBron would need to look at if he goes and becomes this free agent, you go somewhere, but you got to make sure the pieces don't all leave, and you're in a situation where it's becoming not a championship run, but just to get to the playoff run. You see,
Mhm.
that's the concern that I have with Golden State. Golden State, I think, for the last 4 or 5 years has had an it's almost like they're going to the NCAA tournament. They have an automatic invitation to the playing game for the last 4 or 5 years. So I think with LeBron there, if this happened, I don't think they're in the playoff. I don't think they're in the playing game. I think they're a sixth or fifth, maybe fourth. I don't think they win a championship with these guys that we mentioned, but they become must watch TV. Everybody wants to see them. But the other challenge that I see, you have players there who have who I have concerns for in regards to injury. Not just Anthony Davis. Steph Curry has been injured off and on throughout his career. Ankles, knee, you know. So, and you're talking about a LeBron James that's 41, still produces really well. But then you're talking about a Steph Curry who's 39. You're talking about a Draymond Green who is 37. And you're talking about the baby of the group, Anthony Davis, who is 34. It's good, but then here's the other piece to the puzzle, Gary. If they were able to pull all it together, and don't forget Porzingis is in the equation. If they're able to pull all it together, you don't even have the money for a bench. You
Yeah,
now you got to
yeah,
piece together your bench because Podzinski is definitely gone. Jimmy Butler would be gone. Moody would be gone. Gary Payton would be gone. All those guys would be gone. And this ain't the 40s and the 50s where you play a iron five. You have a bench, and you
yeah.
got you got to play a bench, man. And it'll be interesting. Now, like I said, I think Cleveland, if he could go back home one more time, I think that'd be great. They have him here in D.C. for a season. It would be It'd be unbelievable, Gary, if that happened. It would be unbelievable. I think, you laughed at me last week when I said I think they can get 45 wins. They put LeBron on that team as is constituted with Anthony Davis and Trey Young. I say 45 to 50 wins. They're not winning a championship, but they are 45 to 50 wins. And then they all of a sudden they're on ESPN a lot more during the basketball season because everybody was going to want
And
to see them.
yeah, and NBC. Well, here's one other thing to consider with Golden State, and it's not money, it's chemistry. LeBron and Draymond Green on the same roster. I think LeBron could probably work it. I'm not sure if Draymond Green could work it. There's something there. When Draymond Green doesn't like somebody or something, he makes it known. He might try to play along with, maybe for the sake of appearances, but there's just something about that mix. I feel like spells trouble for Golden State in terms of chemistry, especially if LeBron plays hero ball. I think he's willing to let Steph play hero ball because, I mean, Steph is Steph. Steph is going to knock down that jumper, even if they don't win. I think he's willing to defer. I think he's actually, um, enthusiastic about deferring to Steph because the record speaks for itself with 4 championships. With LeBron, and this is probably the main thing wherever he lands. You mentioned a team like say, okay, you figure the Wizards can win 45 to 50 games with him. But at this point in his career, he still wants another ring. What team does he go to? I think he wants to, I think his thing is going to a team where he realistically has a chance at another NBA championship. The only team I see in that mix right now is Cleveland. I think he could be that final piece, that I don't know, maybe complimentary piece, to Donovan Mitchell and some of the other guys. But again, at what price? Because do you sign a 40 something, year old forward to to fill seats, or do you sign him to try to win a championship if you're that close, like Cleveland? And if you're LeBron, it's like, okay, do I win games here? Do I pad my stats? Because that's what he's been accused of doing with the Lakers. And maybe that's why I threw Miami onto the pile, because I do think with picking up Giannis, yeah, it might be like one of those big three embarrassment of riches things, but I'm not going to rule it out, because I do think that window for Miami, I think Pat Riley still feels like if we can get another complementary piece, um, that could help with the guys that we have now. Of course, you still need a guard, as you said last week, but a guy like LeBron, I'm I don't know. I don't think it's a priority, but I don't think he's ruled it out either. Um, and I guess, yeah, I'll leave it at that. I keep thinking that there's another scenario out there, um, and not so much in terms of free agency, but just one of those things that really could factor into wherever he lands. But again, you have to be a team that figures we need this piece, if even if only for a season, maybe two. But do you again, do you spend that kind of money to bring in a 42, what is it, 40, was it 41, 42-year old player?
41. Yeah,
Okay.
41.
Yeah.
I I agree with you. I think the biggest draw, box office draw, not in basketball, box, if he went to Golden State.
Hmm.
Coming to DC, you can throw all sorts of things about being in DC and, you know, continuing to revive an organization that has been challenged for many years. But if you, like you said, if you're looking for championships, I think the best place for him is probably Cleveland. Unless you want to go to San Antonio, unless you want to go to OKC, and I don't think that's an option.
No.
So,
Or Denver. I don't think that's an option either.
no. Mm-mm.
No. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. But I do think that LeBron is driven for another title, but he if and if that's the case, rightfully so. What place? Where does he go that has a realistic chance of contending for a title? I don't know if Golden State is that team. I don't know if um, Washington is that team. I think the only thing is that Washington is closer to Akron, but that's a whole other scenario. Um, yeah, I mean, again, he would definitely pack the house, but we saw that 20 years ago with Jordan, making one last stand. Yeah, the numbers were there, but that's probably about the only thing that you will recall about the Jordan era in DC. Yes, he did, I guess, kind of leave them um, somewhat. I don't want to say he left them better. I mean, they traded away a future, a part of their future with Rip Hamilton. Um, but some of the deals that he worked, you got Gilbert Arenas, who got them to the playoffs. Got your guy like Bradley Beal, who, oh yeah, is another free agent out there because he declined his option. It's going to be interesting to see where he lands. But again, that same scenario, an oft injured player who is getting along, he's got a lot of miles on that odometer. Just what do you do at this point? Um, and
So,
oh,
what do
by the
you go ahead?
oh,
Go ahead. I
well,
cut you
I was
off.
going to say, speaking of re-signings, I think it was a Jose Alvarado re-signed with the Knicks. Yeah, so that's a piece. I'm glad they were able to keep him, because I think he's going to have a bigger role next year. I
I
really,
agree.
after what
I
he
agree.
what he
I'm
did.
glad to see that one. But what do you think about some of these other moves, man? What do you think about Ja Morant going to the Portland Trail Blazers? What do you think about Kawhi Leonard possibly being traded back to Toronto? What do you think?
I think for John Morant, he had to get out of Memphis because that one was becoming very acrimonious. I think sometimes, I think the temptations for him, in terms of his psyche, his attitude, he had to get out of Memphis. Portland, I don't know if that's a great fit because Portland is nothing like Memphis, especially the nightlife and such. But there, it's an up and coming team, and I think maybe if he wants to prove that he still wants to win, that's a place for him to really try to focus on his game, become become a better player, make Portland a better team, and yeah, and then he stays kind of out of the spotlight and out of trouble. Kawhi with going back to the Raptors and running it back there. That one's going to be interesting because Toronto is one of those teams that I feel like the right player can make them a contender. But how old are we talking about with Kawhi? He's probably like a 13-year veteran or something as well. He has a history of injuries, but it's more about what goes on upstairs. It's about attitude now with Kawhi. His last couple of stops. I just don't know if you're Toronto and you can try to either continue building with the roster you have, or maybe try to trade for somebody or try to sign somebody with less drama than what Kawhi brings to the table. And I don't have any problem saying that about Kawhi because it's kind of like, Kawhi can still play. It's a matter of how much, whether how motivated he is, and excuse me, how just where his head is at sometimes from game to game. And by head, I mean where his attitude is, not his talent, not his skills, um, and or leadership. It's just really about, do I really want to do this? Sometimes that's the way it appears.
Good points, man. Good points. He had a good run in San Antonio, and then he had the injuries.
Falling out.
Um, in LA, I think they never were able to really put everything together. You got Paul George for a while. I think he even played Russell Westbrook, didn't he?
Yeah,
And with the
yeah.
Clippers, they were never able to pull it all together. So, and he is a tremendous player when healthy, and he got his players with him. He's a tremendous player. John Morant, I hope nothing but the best for him. When he came out of college, I don't know if you remember, Gary, I was saying he came out the same year as Zion Williamson. And Zion was first and Ja was second. And I was saying I would take Ja because Zion Williamson's game is very good, but it's very, very physical. It's very violent. And I don't mean that from a standpoint of he's fighting on a court or anything like that. I'm trying to make sure our viewers understand. I mean it
Yeah,
from a
I know
standpoint
exactly
of,
what you mean. Yeah,
yeah,
he is a load.
yeah, and
He is the aircraft carrier you talk about.
yeah, you remember at Duke, he tore his tennis shoe open on a move,
Hmm.
so,
Yeah,
but John Morant just always gave me that impression. He had that extra. He could do a little bit something more for your team. Nothing to take away from Zion Williamson, but I just thought he could do a little more. He's had a rough go of it for the last couple of years, and I'm hoping going to Portland will give him a chance. Dante sent me Portland's roster last night of a deal. Can't think of it. I think he used to play for the Wizards. And then they have, let me see what this roster looks like. Robert Williams, I said they just signed him. Who else do they have on this roster? Uh, Klingen used to be a center with UConn. Kamara, Dante says a good shooter and a good defender. Damon Lillard. Honestly, Gary, I've forgotten that Lillard still played. I thought he had retired, to be honest with
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Drew Holiday's there. Drew Holiday played with the Celtics, did a great job on there. I think he was there with their title run, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken.
Was he?
And then,
I think he was also with Milwaukee too. I think during their
yeah,
title.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then Shaden Sharp, he said
up and
that's
coming
a
player.
really, really good athletic guard. So, maybe Moran can get himself going again. Maybe Portland will be the right place for him to start percolating the way he used to play. I didn't think Memphis was going to be the spot for him. If you look at what they had the big guy, was named Zach Edey, and then you just brought in Cameron Boozer, and that team, just my personal opinion, seemed like it was going in the direction of playing a more pattern game, a more slower tempo. That's what I see. And that's not what Moran is really good at. He's got
Yeah,
to be getting up and down that court. And
and it's a very vertical game too.
yeah, yeah. And if you got Zach Edey on that offensive end, there's not a lot of room to do your vertical stuff and get to that rim. You're being blocked by your own aircraft carrier because he can't really. He does a good job, but his specialty, in my opinion, again, is more. He's more suited for a half court offense, Zach Edey,
Mm.
and I don't think that really benefits Ja Moran. So we'll see how this goes. I'm waiting for 6 o'clock to see how this starts playing out, and then we'll see what's going to happen. Let's talk real quick, man, about the World Cup. You got the U.S. playing Wednesday. Brazil barely beat Japan. They were losing for a lot of the game. The Netherlands lost to Morocco. Germany lost. So you had some two really good teams struggling. I watched England play the other day. They beat Panama. England looked really tough. So what do you think, Gary? How far can the United States go? Should we dream
I
of
think you can dream.
1980?
Yes, I think you can dream. Oh, try, try to throw me off, man. Um, but I mean, I look at this round of 32, and it's just as I feel like it's just as power packed as um, group play that
Hmm.
anybody can beat anybody. You're talking about Cape Verde. That I think that will always be the story of the of group play about how they came on. But I mean, I'm just looking at a couple of games from today, one of which is in progress with Norway and I don't know, you know how to pronounce this, but I'm going to say Cote d'Ivoire, which is tied at one, and they're getting into that stretch run. The real one game I think could really determine this whole field is France and Sweden. That's another game that's scheduled for I mean after we finish recording this, but um, one to watch is England versus the Democratic Republic of Congo. The African nations have had an impressive run. Yes, I know that the Netherlands knocked out Morocco, um, and that was a game that I thought was a toss up. But um, anybody can really win this, and of course Paraguay proved that by beating Germany yesterday, and overtime or penalty kicks. But Mexico and Ecuador, who knows what can happen with that? Because Mexico, I think, is a very dangerous team offensively. Ecuador, I think, can counterpunch. They might not dictate the tempo, but I think they can counterpunch. So that's what makes that one worth watching. But the United States, communication is what cost them unbeaten group play. But I'm not going to fault him because again, when Pulisic returned and the instant lift that he gave them in terms of their tempo, they didn't get a goal out of it, but they were much more aggressive. Really a breakdown and communication and maybe a breakdown in focus is what cost them in their final game. But I'm not really worried about the United States, and from a standpoint, I still feel like their best soccer is ahead because they weathered what 2 games? No, weathered a game without Pulisic, and and won. Now that they have him back and he's got some minutes under him, I think he's ready to prove he can score, he can lead. So again, it's gonna be interesting. Brazil was not the Brazil's not the team that I thought they would be, but they're still a threat. Keep thinking about another one. See, yeah, Canada. Oh no, that was Sunday, but I mean, Canada is another team worth watching. I've never seen a field where everybody has a legitimate shot. Where it's wide open. We use that term, John. You could just put a blanket over the field because everybody seems to be on
Hmm.
equal footing. It's not really a cliche. I think it's I think it's realistic in this particular
Hmm.
competition,
Hmm.
and I wouldn't be surprised at anything. The United States really has a chance to make some inroads. I'm going to say that they probably have another 2 3 goal game in them. This is the time to prove it.
It's going to be interesting, man. I've enjoyed watching the United States play, but I've enjoyed watching other games as well.
Mm,
It's quite a sporting event. I really enjoy watching how all the countries come and watch, and people come together to watch it and have a great time. So I'm really excited about it. And go USA, man. Go USA.
yeah,
Hey.
what's funny about one thing about soccer um, is especially in this country. You know, you hear criticism that it's boring. Oh, it doesn't score a whole lot. But every time a competition like this comes here, and you see
Mhm.
the tension in the games, especially when it gets into the late minutes, whether it's
Mhm.
tied, whether it's a 1 goal game, even if it's a 2 goal game. I mean, anything can change really quickly. I'm not even sure, even though we've had a couple of high scoring games, I'm not sure if I really want to see that in the World Cup because what I want to see is a tactical game. I want to see them set it up, and that's the beauty of football and the beauty of soccer in the United States, and definitely the beauty and appeal of the World Cup.
Well said, Mr. Graves. Well said. Couple minutes for you. Let's talk. I want you to talk for a couple minutes, then we got to go to close down.
Hmm.
Wimbledon is upon us. Serena Williams is playing a singles match on Tuesday. What do you
Yep.
think so far?
I'd like to see how the off time um, has affected her, whether she can come back. I saw some of the warm ups before we started taping, and she looks in fantastic shape. She really
Hmm.
really does. The problem is the game has changed in those what 3 years that she was away, and it's going to be interesting, intriguing, I'll say, to see how she responds to that, especially since these younger players, while they are aware of her more as a legend, may not necessarily be scared of her, even in doubles. So I think that first match I think will be an interesting test. Um, it's still, of course, we're still in the early rounds, and players that we like to watch like Coco Golf and Naomi Osaka. I think Osaka won her first round match yesterday, and of course made another fashion statement, which that's going to be fun to watch, especially before the very staid, which is to say stuffy, All England Tennis Club. But again, her play eventually takes attention away from how she comes dressed. But she continues to break boundaries, and I think she's another player who is building her own comeback and really trying to see where her game is now after being away, for different reasons, including having a child.
Gary, go ahead and take us home.
Well, okay. So we've got World Cup, we've got WNBA, we've got, well, of course, baseball, John. And, as we talked about earlier amongst ourselves, that in baseball, the quality, we need to see, more consistent quality from the American League, because the American League is like really showing is the junior circuit. I think there's only a handful of teams with winning records as opposed to the National League, where there's only a handful of teams with losing records. And I guess National League ball really has been fun to watch. So there's that. Trying to think what else we got coming up. Probably in another week, training camps open. Oh, yeah, and then after that, um, British Open, or the Open, that closes out the Grand Slam season for golf. That's going to be fun to watch. But I'd say right here immediately, World Cup, WNBA, your Baltimore Orioles, my Washington Nationals, and that explosive bullpen, which is to say they are a gas can just waiting for a match. Uh, but that's why we watch the games, just to see whether it's how good it's going to be or how bad it can get. So you have plenty of choices, and of course, happy Fourth of July to everybody out there. Watch some baseball, because that supposedly is still the national pastime. John.
Hey, thanks for joining us again. Another great week in sports. Hey, watch the I can't believe it, Gary. I went blank that quickly. Watch the WNBA. Watch the World Cup. Watch some tennis. But above all else, just watch some sports and come back and see us. Take care.